let's talk about what's happened to the budget over the last 40 years, and it's really dramatic. If you look, 40 years ago, in 1968, or I guess 41 years ago now, 46% of the budget was for national defense. Now, Vietnam was going on then, but, you know, we've got a couple of conflicts in the field now, in Iraq and Afghanistan right now. Not the same troop levels, but frankly, we pay our troops a lot more money now than we did then because it's an all-volunteer force rather than the draft, which is what we had back then. And if you look at it, you'll see that Medicare and Medicaid were only 4% of the federal budget. And that's because the programs just came in existence in 1965. Now, look at 2008. Defense is down to 21%, but Medicare and Medicaid are up to 20%. The past cannot be prologue. Something has got to give. And if you look at interest, you'll see that net interest has gone up somewhat, but you ain't seen nothing yet because interest rates are about at all-time lows, and that's going to change. It's going to change when the economy turns around, and it's going to change if we don't start putting our own financial house in order, because our foreign lenders are already getting nervous, and they're concerned about what the value of the dollar is going to be, and therefore what's the purchasing power of the dollar going to be that they're going to get paid in. You know, what you have to charge in interest rates is not just a matter of default risk. I don't think the U.S. government will ever default. But I think there's a very real risk as to what's the value of the dollar going to be that our foreign lenders are going to get repaid in. And so that's a factor that one has to keep in mind, and they surely should. Now, in the same 40-year period of time, we've gone to where when our elected representatives went to Washington, they got to decide how 66% of the budget was spent, so-called discretionary spending, to where in the 40 years that passed, it's gone down to less than 40%. So that means that 61% of the federal budget in 2008 was on autopilot, predetermined what was going to happen. You had to change a law in order to change the spending, because a promise was made and you just had to pay whatever it took to deliver on the promise. Obviously, interest is not a discretionary expense, and as I just said, we're not going to default on our debt, in my view, but we've got some serious issues. Now, what you probably don't know from this graphic is that if you're a student of the Constitution, which I like to be, you will find that every express and enumerated responsibility that the Founding Fathers envisioned for the federal government is in that 39%. National defense, foreign policy, Congress of the United States, federal judicial system, the executive office of the president, and I can go on and on. But basically, every major express and enumerated responsibility is in that 39%, and it's getting squeezed. And the 61% is represented by either interest on the debt or entitlement programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, other programs that are growing, quite frankly, not only faster than inflation, but faster than the economy when the economy grows.